Hello, my name is Jonah White. I'm the independent apocalyptic author of the Shadows of Darkness series, with the second book, Remnants of Resistance, just releasing last week. So today I would like to talk about sort of like some books. I'm going to start a mini series where I'm going to talk about some apocalyptic slash political thrillers that really inspired me to write my Shadows of Darkness series, because I read a lot of books to get inspiration and to learn how to write novels. Because if you believe it or not, even though I majored in writing intensive English, or it was one of my two majors in at Marquette University, I kind of sucked at writing books at the time, and I didn't know anything about plots or how to do a character arc or the three-act story uh, platform or anything like that. I know that's not what you call it, but whatever. But yeah, overall I did wasn't very good, and I did read other books. So I kind of want to do sort of a short review of The Kremlin Conspiracy by Joel C. Rosenberg, because I like talking about books and kind of sharing with others what I thought about certain books and whether I think it's worth other people's time or what I learned from this book or my likes or dislikes. But without any further ado, I'm going to start on with this video. So, The Kremlin Conspiracy is the first book out of four of Joel C. Rosenberg's newest series. It's more like a political thriller than it is apocalyptic, because it's not really apocalyptic. It's more like on the edge of apocalypse, like, oh, World War III may break out and cause a nuclear apocalypse, so we have to stop it. That sort of plot line. So the Kremlin Conspiracy kind of follows two different characters. So one is a high-ranking Russian. I think he's a lawyer or something like that. I forgot what his um, position was in Russia. So he's very close to the FSB director and his daughter. So he marries the daughter, but the FSB director is doing some sort of shady conspiracies to frame some terrorists who are so-called attacking Russia with terroristic bombs and everything. But it's actually the FSB. This isn't a spoiler because it's pretty obvious in the first few chapters. But it's obviously the Russians or the FSB doing it that way. He can move up in power and then become the president of Russia. Meanwhile, we have another character whose name is Marcus Riker. Now, we kind of get his backstory and everything before he gets into the Secret Service. We see him get married and have some drama with his wife and kid, as well as his time in the Marine Corps. And this is all building up where both storylines are going to intersect at some point, because the Russian guy, Alek, he's kind of working as a double agent against his father-in-law, who is the president now, who's all these years building up from the 80s up to almost current time, which I think this book was written in 2019 or 2017. So this is where the book kind of catches up with time. And his father-in-law is really power hungry, wants to restore the old Soviet empire, but take down NATO and take down America, because he views them as being weak and that they would not fully commit to a nuclear war. So he's going to attack NATO, minor NATO countries like the Baltic states and all that stuff. So while all of this is going on, Alek kind of moves up in position where he's very close to his father-in-law, the president, because he really trusts him. But he's becoming very conflicted on whether he should continue on following in his father-in-law's plans, because it's going to lead to the eventual destruction of Russia if they try to invade these Baltic states, and America does indeed retaliate. And then his father-in-law is just willing to launch nukes at America, because he knows that in a nuclear war, nobody wins. Russia will be destroyed as well as America could be destroyed. So he tries to get in contact with Marcus Riker, who is a special agent, because, well, actually it isn't very super clear why he chooses Marcus, and I am going in a little bit of spoilers right now, but it's not really clear why he chooses him to like tell the information to. Yeah, he heard of him in the past, but he could have literally met with anybody, or like the senator that Marcus was guarding during the time while they were in Russia. He could have told him what his father-in-law was up to rather than just a random like Secret Service guy that he met once before. But whatever. So it kind of like turns into like a double agent type story, and then it leads. I won't spoil the ending, but this is all building towards like what they're going to do to eventually stop like the Russian president from invading the Baltic states and potentially causing World War III. And there is like nothing stopping this guy. He is super keyed in on creating the former Soviet empire. So what are my likes and dislikes when it comes to the story? Well, my likes is that I liked the characters. I liked both Alec and I did like Marcus Riker. I did think that the second half of the book is very exciting, and it really had me on the edge of my seat while listening to this, because I listened to it through Audible, and I didn't find myself getting bored in the second half or anything like that. I do think that the Russian president, yeah, it's a little over the top that he's willing to like kick off World War III and not care about the repercussions, but you kind of understand where he's coming from. And there was some personal stakes when it came to Alec, whether he was going to like follow along with these plans, but he knew deep down inside that he needs to do something to like stop his father-in-law from triggering this war, because overall it's going to destroy his own country, which is Mother Russia. But now to my dislikes. I don't have major dislikes, but I would say the first one that's a big one for me would be I would say the first third, mainly like Marcus's backstory, is a little too lengthy and it explains a little bit too much. And what I mean by that is that we kind of see his early life while he's in college, when he's getting married, his life in the Marines, and then as he's getting drafted into or training for the Secret Service, and he moves up the ranks and everything, and he does leave the Secret Service due to a personal traumatic event, and then he comes back to it. It all felt like you could have cut out a few of those things and it wouldn't have changed Marcus's plot line that much. So I wasn't, now don't get me wrong, I was invested in it, and I thought I didn't find myself bored, but I just, when you finish listening to the whole story, and you kind of wonder like, did we really need some of this stuff with Marcus Riker? Because this book is 15 hours, and that is a long book. It took me like 4 days to like listen through all of this. Another con that I would say that I have against the book, it isn't too major, but as much as the story was like really had this slow build up to the ending, and the ending was like very climactic, I did think that the book just ended a little too abruptly. And it was kind of for sequel baiting and everything, but it just ended, and I didn't really appreciate how it just ended abruptly. Like, it was on such a uphill towards the climax, and then it just ended. It's sort of like you're sledding down a hill, you reach the fastest point of the hill, but then someone just snatches you out of the sled, and it's like, oh, the ride's over. So I did feel like it could have been handled a little bit better, or we could have used a couple more chapters to kind of like really set up the sequel. So yep, those are like my pros and cons for the book. If I were to give it a rating out of between 1 and 10, I would give this book 7 out of 10. It's pretty good. Now for me, my rating is 1 is bad, 10 is legendary or something like that, and 5 is like average. So a 7 isn't bad. So this is a pretty good book. It just was the rushed ending, how it just completely cut off at the end, and as well as like Marcus's plot, like a lot of things, although it was good, but I don't think we needed all of it, which caused the book to feel a little bit too long before like we really got to the point of everything. And it kind of made me like want to get back to Alec's plot line more than sticking around with Marcus's plot line. But that's going to conclude this review. I will be reviewing the second book in this quadrilogy. I don't know if there's any more books coming, but I'm going to be reviewing that pretty soon. If you haven't already, feel free to subscribe to my author site. It is www.jonahwauthor.com. And until next time, happy writing.